Ah,
Okay.
So I might just note that uh, I'm I am in the midst of researching this issue of sending the recordings to those of you who have Gmail. Apparently, there is an issue there, and I've
Uh,
discovered online that there are some solutions,
oh, good.
supposedly. Uh, but I just started looking at that. So,
And that's because it's a connection to YouTube because it's a video. What?
you know, um, uh, they didn't give a reason,
Of
but
course.
uh,
hmm.
for for some reason, um, on Gmail, it it filters what comes in, and
Yeah.
it changes with individuals even for some
Mm.
reason. Um, and so apparently there are some workarounds. Obviously, I'm not the only person who's had this problem. So
Hmm.
Well, good to figure it out because yeah, we were getting frustrated that I wasn't getting them. So
Uh, David, do you have students who you email to iCloud as opposed to Gmail? Because I have an iCloud account
mm.
also.
um, uh, I've had them go through to
Okay.
other addresses without any issue. Gmail's
The
the only.
Gmail is the only issue. Okay.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I'll send you my iCloud thing and see whether that works.
Uh-huh. Well, I could try that. But it's an issue I would like to solve.
Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, God's
But
questions, concerns, issues.
I do have a question. The last class focused a lot on rotating, which was helpful reminder. But yet, I'm already at twisting and have been for a while. And so I guess I tried to do God's rotating only and not twisting. And in some ways that kind of helps you just look at your posture differently. Look at, okay, what am I doing? Where are my elbows and the like. But and I don't know where we're going today, but anyway, but I assume there's no harm in doing twisting if we've already been practicing that.
No,
Yeah.
none at all. And absolutely, you and Adam should be
Okay.
twisting, but also the issues that we're talking about in relation to rotation, which is obviously a part of twisting,
Yeah. Yeah.
are ones that are good to be
Yes.
clear about.
Yes. I think
And
that's
actually, we're going to continue that today.
Okay. Yeah. No, I found it helpful. I just had that other question. Yeah.
Yeah. Bill?
No particular question, just the realization, which keeps coming more and more, that apart from the original, where do the hands go? Where do the arms go? What's up? What's down? This is, quite a bit different, much more internal. And good realization. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Well, good. So anything for you, Adam?
No, not this week, David. I've been, just kind of limping along, barely able to get some practice in. So,
Okay.
yeah.
No, I understand. So there are many really exercises that run through Qigong that are effectively trying to teach rotation. Some of them do it partially and some of it do it completely. But in all the motions in God's, all your joints are rotating when you do every movement. No movement, no matter what it is, even when you're spiraling your spine, every one of your joints is opening and closing and rotating and or twisting if you're at that level. While you're doing movements 2 through 7, which is a head roll. Give you a little moment here. But one of the things about 7 is that you're not rolling from your head. You're rolling from your head and your entire spine all the way down to your feet. So it's all about making the spiraling pathways that are going between the top and the bottom of your body and the bottom back to the top work very well. So remember, when your joints are moving, that's fluid. But when you get stuck, that's when you want to focus. So I want you for a moment here to go back to doing that elbow rotation exercise. So find a wall or someplace where you can attach your middle finger. Anybody feel they don't remember how to do this?
Okay, got it. I didn't do this week though.
You did it this morning? Oh, good.
No, I didn't.
Okay. So just as a reminder, you do want to let your elbow be a little bit bent. You should not be trying to do this with the arm extended. And don't have your middle finger too high. And you want to start with the elbow really perpendicular to the floor, pointing directly to the floor. And it goes to the outside first, and then it goes over the top, comes down the inside, and comes back to pointing to the earth. So remember that you do not ever go inside and up. You'll find that you get stuck right away if you do that. So you go out, up, and over, and down. So this is just making sure that pretty much everything from your fingers all the way to your spine are rotating or perhaps twisting. The hard part is when your elbow goes up. You have to get everything to rotate without getting stuck. So it has to become fluid. And don't be surprised if in the beginning the elbow rotation takes you a little bit of time. Most people have some sort of neck or back problem, and that usually is what is causing the elbow to freeze up. So try the other elbow. So remember, it really has 4 parts. It starts with the elbow down, then it goes out to the side, then up higher than the side, and then rotates down inside, returning to the elbow down. So when you're having trouble doing it, focus more on your shoulder blades, having some movement. Focus on a sense of energy going from your spine through your entire arm to your finger, because that's actually what this exercise is about. And in order for this exercise to work, You've got to have all the tissues in your arm rotating. Okay, so relax. And anybody having a sense of getting stuck anywhere in that?
Only a
No.
little.
Could hear some crunching.
That may be good.
Yeah, I think so. I wasn't concerned. Loosening up, I suppose.
I think a little sense of getting stuck. I guess if you're at the bottom in the third kind of quadrant as you come up and over the top, and
Uh-huh.
then in and down. On the left side, that felt a little sluggish.
Yeah.
You know.
So this is really, I think this is a really great exercise. And I think it's really important that you really feel the relaxation of the elbow and the shoulder right back into the scapula and the spine.
Mhm.
Because if you find that as you're doing it, that your shoulder is rising up
Mm.
significantly, something's wrong.
Mhm.
You should be able to do this and have the shoulder rotate, not lift
Mm.
particularly. So the other thing, which actually we don't actually we're not actually going to work on, but that exercise then eventually goes to doing it with both arms simultaneously. And you could play with that, I suppose, if you want to, but it's not actually needed for gods. So we're going to take this concept now and look at it in movement 1. And remember that the arm can rotate 2 ways, depending on the edge that you're focusing your intent on. And in movement 1, it is the thumb edge that we're focusing on. So first there is the preparatory bend where you're rotating inward. And when your hands come up, they're going to be rotating outward until your fingers extend to face forward. And it's not that your hands are just rising up. As the thumbs are rotating out and upward, the elbows are rotating downward. And the movement is quite subtle. So when you want your fingers to extend, you want to cause that by beginning to rotate your arms outward. And then you start rotating your arms inward as your hands come towards the chest, and you keep on rotating them inward until your arms come down to the sides. So one of the things that is useful, actually, let me do that, because one of the things that, if I make myself a little more prominent here, you'll probably be able to see me a little better. I need a tech person.
Just to sit there, right, with you.
Obviously, I do.
We want to see it, David. All right, we can also change our, make sure. we get this. Gotcha. Yep.
So when you do begin, you have to have a preparatory bend so that your arms have some place to extend from. And so as you prepare to begin, you have the bend and then their thumbs are rotating outward as they come up. And as you begin to extend, notice that they begin to rotate inward. And then they continue rotating inward as you come down. And then they again rotate outward. So this is pretty subtle in this movement. And it has to be continuous, has to keep on going. So one of the things that can be useful in watching a teacher or me is to understand that you don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind.
Mm.
And most people actually don't see what is done right in front of them. You see this all the time. The mind selectively picks what it focuses on, and usually the basis of this is what it is familiar with. What it is not familiar with, it has a tendency to treat like it never happened. And you can see this all the time. For instance, in the case of an accident, when police or insurance investigators talk to 20 people who observed it, many of them start seeing things that were not there. The few things that are actually common throughout the 20 people are probably correct, while the rest is questionable. So the classic way in China of learning Qigong and Tai Chi was that there were 3 levels of students. You had ordinary students, and the only obligation the teacher had to ordinary students was that they do the movements and the students follow them. And the students only pick up what they see. The second group is a disciple or special student. Teachers are going to tell them, now when I do this, focus on these things because I am doing them whether you can really see them or not. And with the third group, the teacher will guide their body through the movement so that if they don't see it, then they can get the kinesthetic sense and feeling of what it is. The only trouble is that a master has to be willing to do that with a student, and some are and some aren't. And they can only do that if it is a very small group of students. So, as a general rule, in order to teach a larger group, or on Zoom as we are, you will have to try to let them know what they're looking at, or they probably don't see it. So I'd like you to stand up. And we're let me and I want you to start by doing 10 repetitions of movement 1. And try to keep the rotation or twisting if you can, constant and in and out at the appropriate times, the appropriate points. So how did you think you did? Could you keep the rotation or twisting constant?
Well, you know, it's interesting, David, because I did have a question about one, but I thought because last week you were talking about dropping one, I was like, oh, I won't ask. And here we
Always
are.
ask.
I find this one of all six the most challenging in terms of rotation.
Uh-huh.
I think I always have, and I've kind of become more aware of that in the last several weeks anyway. I think it's, you know, when I'm moving around, you know, when I'm doing the large sphere, it's like so clear. And here I feel like maybe I get to a point and then it's easier on the way down than on the way up. I have a big, you know, I don't think maybe I'm going into it too quickly on the way up.
Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely right that the twisting is probably most difficult in movement one, and you're right. It's a movement we're going to drop in a few weeks, but
But get it now.
it has its uses at the moment.
Right.
So yeah, I'll address that a little more in a moment. Let me see
Thank
where
you.
Bill or Adam.
I thought it was pretty smooth except for the end. I ran out of internal rotation. I found that it feels like there's more internal or more time that you're doing internal rotation than time you're doing the external rotation on the way up. So
Yep.
trying to sparse that out correctly was a challenge.
Yeah, and you're right. You know, as a matter of fact, as we see, there are a number of places in this practice where the bend and the stretch or the twisting in and out or however you want to define it, it's not equal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're unequal, and deliberately so.
And it feels like there's different gearing between the like the forearm and the upper arm and shoulder. It feels like it's almost like a 1-to-1 ratio on the way up, but then when you're coming in, it feels like the forearms are internally rotating more than the upper arm. Because if you had that 1-to-1, you'd like run out of shoulder rotation much sooner. At least that's what it felt like to me. I don't know if that's right, but
so part of that is that in particular, you and Bill were not getting the elbow to rotate downward as you went up and out.
Okay.
And that makes a huge difference when you get to the top and you're coming in, because if you've gotten them rotated inward, then as the thumbs are rotating in, the elbows rotate slightly outward as you go down, and balances out that that movement.
Okay.
And the subtlety of the rotation and twisting here is part of the issue also, because if you, our tendency very often, or maybe I should say my tendency, I remember, was that when I started up from the bottom, I rotated too quickly outward. And I got to the top, I had no place to go. Or I got halfway up and I had no place to go. So it all has to be very subtle and very slow. And it's really teaching us in this movement, as far as this particular principle is concerned, is how do we make that subtlety constant?
Okay. Yeah.
So even with the rotating inward, as you're coming down, that's really difficult because there is not much room for rotating inward.
Right.
If you do it too quickly, then you get stuck. Something freezes up, which is obviously what we're trying to train ourselves not to do.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it's, just I don't know. Any other questions? Did I help by Joanne? Did I
Yes, I think
help
so.
you with
Yeah,
your question?
I think so. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I kind of felt like by the last couple I was getting it more, but I really had to concentrate on
Yeah.
kind of like, why am I not doing it right? Yeah.
yeah. Um, I guess the other issue from a purely rotation standpoint that I would say is also to make sure at the bottom that you don't stop and start.
Uh-huh.
Although there's another issue about that that I will come to in a minute. Because you want to make that movement at the bottom still have some roundness to it
Yes. Yeah.
so that you don't have that stop and start.
Yeah.
So the next point we want to look at is that we want to understand that there is a leader and a follower. And you all know the pool cue image.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that you don't grab your movement by the front of the stick and try to get something to happen, because that doesn't work. You have to have a clear transference. So let me do this again. So obviously one of the parts of these movements is the C curve in the spine. And one way to think about this is to think about the spine bending and straightening, causing the arms to move. So as you begin, of course, the spine is bending and the arms are rotating inward. And then as the spine straightens, the arms are rotating outward. And then again, as the spine bends, they are rotating inward. So you're not actually moving your arms from your arms. Your arms are being moved by your spine. So the tip of the pool cue is being moved by the back of the cue. And that's very important because we're talking about a transfer of energy, and something has to get it started going and keep it going. So try this again. You get to do another 10 reps and see if you can keep that C curve moving and have it cause the arms to move. And feel the movement of the energy as you're doing it.
Mhm.
So did you get the connection to your C curve?
Yes, and I think that I have been, I don't know about stopping, but really slowing down too much when I go down. And I think part of it is that I'm putting my arms out too far. So I tried to not do it quite as far. And then I felt like there was a kind of energy click right there.
Huh.
So I got helped.
So,
But yes, the C curve, yes, I mean, I've been aware of the C curve and working on that all along anyway. So yes.
yep.
Yeah, I felt the same. I felt like the C curve really helped.
Mhm.
Yeah. Bill?
Yes, and as Adam just said, it does help. The first set we did, I was having trouble with the body sinking too fast, and I was
Mhm.
getting to the bottom and before the arms arrived.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So focusing on the C curve seemed to straighten that out a good bit.
Mhm. So to
So,
speak.
Funny about that.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I couldn't really tell Bill. And it is hard to tell on Zoom sometimes how you're moving.
yeah.
So one more thing. Um, I hope that by this point you're beginning to get a feeling of your lower dantian. And your goal now is to rotate your arms, but you don't want to have any feeling of your lower dantian getting stuck. So, which is going to mean that with all these repetitions that you're going to do, you have to get to where you have a smooth flow through your lower dantian. You want to practice until the transference of energy by your arms to your lower dantian does not get stuck. So try that. Focus now on the connection to your lower dantian and try to feel the movement of that energy from the lower dantian out into the arms and back.
Okay.
So how was the connection to the Dantian?
Yeah, I mean, um, it took a few turns to kind of really feel it. But then I also realized maybe in the second half that I was far more engaged with the lower part of my body, where I think the other times I was so focused on the upper part of my body and the rotation of the hands, that I feel like, yeah, there was a kind of, more whole body energy movement. So
Yeah, oh, good, good.
Yeah, I felt like it was pretty good. Definitely easier going out than in, but I was still able to maintain that connection for the most part coming in.
Good. Bill?
Yes, the C curve was operating. I'm not sure about the energy flow in and out of the Dantian as much, but similar maybe to what Joanne said. When I did start to focus as much as I could on the Dantian, the arms seemed to take care of themselves. um, and I guess I'm assuming that's what should happen,
Yes. So obviously these are all parts of what you should be ideally doing in these movements. And you're absolutely right, Bill. Ultimately, the focus is not on the arms. The arms do what they're supposed to do because they're connected properly throughout the rest of the body. I think one of the things that is to remember that it is really important for the elbows to always be trying to connect to the earth, to be as close to pointing downward as is reasonably possible. This is different for different people depending on your body structure, and women, of course, have the additional issue of moving around their breasts. But the other part of that is to make sure that your hands also are moving on the sidelines of the body. So in other words, it's very easy, and I see it, the kind of a tendency for this to happen, particularly at the top, to come in with the hands to the center rather than letting them rotate and stay on the sidelines as they come down. So just another piece to be aware of, because we're really in movement one, we're really not trying to reach into the central channel.
Yeah.
That's not our focus here. That comes later, as you know. So you probably don't need all of that. I'll let you look at that later. Um, um, so as you continue to work on gods, eventually you want the fact that in doing gods, that as your hands are coming up, the energy is moving all the way from your spine through your shoulders, all the way down through your elbows to your hands. And that there is an outward twist and then an inward twist. But your elbow is not moving any more than it absolutely has to. It is pointing toward the ground. It's not moving or leaving its connection to the earth. So, I want you to do a little bit more, and I'm going to ask you to focus on some other things as we go through it.
Okay.
You will really have movement one by the end of today.
Back to one. All right.
So make sure that as you first begin, that you just bend your legs slightly in preparation, because you have to be able to straighten them to send your hands up as you rise. And that when you come up, your arms come up, and as you extend your fingers, let the upward movement of the spine somehow be causing what is getting your hands to move. And when you start to bend, bring your hands back, let there be a downward movement at the front of your spine to get your hands to go down. So you're straightening your spine, and it is lifting you. And as your hands come back, you want to get a feeling from your fingers back through your arms, down your spine. And if you can do it, even further to your feet. But in the beginning, if you get it to the base of your spine, that's just fine. And now begin to monitor your lower dantian. What's it doing? Particularly important that it is not freezing. As your lower dantian shrinks slightly, your spine raises your hands going out. And when your hands come back, your lower dantian is expanding. And at the end of your lower dantian, it's going to go to neutral. Your dantian shrinks when your hands go up. Your dantian expands, pulling your hands down. And as your hands come to the bottom, your body actually goes to neutral for 1/10 of a second, and then you start over. So think of each of these movements as being independent. In order to have that occur, you have to have that brief 1/10 of a second neutral pause at the bottom, letting your whole system go to neutral. But 1/10 of a second is very short. Don't make it a second or two. It might appear to somebody watching you as though at the bottom your movement slowed imperceptibly. Just try to make sure that everything between the dantian and your arms is doing what it is supposed to do. When you want your arms to go up, let your back straighten slightly, because that's also, along with moving your spine, going to help your hands to rise. And as you sink, pull everything down to your lower dantian. And the next time you come to the bottom, just pause and relax. Good. So how was that?
That was good. It felt like there was a lot more energy moving back and forth consistently.
Good.
Yeah, I was, sorry, I was surprised the pause helped so much. It's just, there's a click there that I had been trying hard not to pause.
Yeah.
But a fraction of a second is short, but I think I got it.
Good. Yeah, it's more an awareness that your system has gone to neutral rather
Uh-huh.
than an
Yeah,
actual
right,
pause.
then an actual pause, right. Yeah, no, I hear that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was treating it as a mental pause more than in actual physical stop.
Yeah, it's not a
So-
stop.
Right.
Right, right. And I did, actually, before you talked about the Dantian, when I got to the bottom, I continued to feel sort of widening out, and I'm supposing that's the energy expanding down there.
Could very well be. I certainly hope so. Good. Well, clearly you can take all of that and go on, but you can also just take your time here and work all of these pieces with movement one.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of, getting all of this to be internal and allow you to just smoothly move them into the other postures.
Mm.
Hopefully.
Right.
So, last minute questions or thoughts at the moment?
No.
Okay.
I think so. Good class.
Yes,
Next week is the beginning of a new session.
okay.
Okay.
And so thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Good
Thank
to
you.
see you all. I hope Mr. Bynum is okay. I didn't remember him saying he wasn't going to be here, but maybe I sometimes lose track of that.
I'd lose
I
track.
didn't recall that either, so, yeah.
Mm.
Well, I'll check in on him.
Yeah, thank you, David.
You.
You're always good at that.
Next week.
Next week.
All right, take care.
Good luck with your landscaping.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So, any practice or thoughts about the woo style?
A little bit of practice, just enough to kind of keep it fresh, but nothing too in depth. I guess no real thoughts. Just a lot of times when I'm focusing or going through the form, the focus seems to draw to the lower body.
Mhm.
I've been playing with really focusing on the ankles not being stuck. And it seems to actually help free up the movement of the qua. When
Good.
I don't know if I always tend to have sort of inflexible ankles, you know, but
Huh.
when that happens, it seems to cause problems up the entire chain of the leg, you know,
Mm,
the whole lower
Absolutely.
body.
Yeah.
So I've been really trying to focus on that as I move through the postures.
Are you thinking about it in terms of opening and closing?
Opening, closing, and twisting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
And that's, I applaud that because you're absolutely right. If that's a place where you're tending to freeze, to get stuck, absolutely, it needs to be released and opened.
Mm.
So good awareness that is a place that you need to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think also it's really good to these things that we've been talking about in gods, where we're focusing on something other than the arms moving the arms,
Mm.
mhm,
because
mhm,
particularly in the Wu style, the hands are so much right in front of us,
Mm-hmm.
so much of the time that it's very easy to get sucked into that. Oh, well, this is the important piece. Doesn't really matter what else is going on.
Mm.
uh-huh.
Right.
Not that I think you're doing that, but it's easy to get focused into what's happening with the hands and lose part of the
Mhm,
connection into the body.
mhm,
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, that's one of the, in a way, that's one of the things you have to watch out for. The yang style being bigger and more open, sure the hands are out there, but they're not so much in your face.
right,
Mhm.
right.
True.
And so I don't know. Did I mention that the demonstration that Jonas has put together for World Tai Chi Day, which is the 29th? I think is going to be really interesting because it is kind of linking how Tai Chi styles have grown.
Mhm,
And
Yeah, I think you did mention it. Yeah.
yeah, and I think also Jonas has gotten one of the people from where he works to videotape it, and he's a professional videographer, so we may get a pretty
oh,
good
nice.
video of it. Because I think it may be a really useful thing to be aware of. I'm looking forward to World Tai Chi Day this year.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
come. It's like the first weekend I'm going out of town in like forever. And I made that, I made those arrangements months ago, so I'm
Sure.
disappointed,
Mm.
but it is what it is, yeah.
Yep.
You don't go
Well-
anywhere and then suddenly you got too many things to do.
Well, I've managed to make every World Tai Chi Day except one.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
I was
I've made a lot, but yeah,
yeah. Well, I
I
was
don't like to miss them. Yeah.
I was one of the first. I was one of the teachers, 5 teachers at the first one.
What
Oh.
year was that, David?
We were at Harkness Park.
Oh, I remember going to Harkness several times. Yeah.
Yeah. This is our 25th year.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm kind of sorry. I did not try to sell T-shirts this year, and actually, it's quite a nice design for the year of the mouse.
Hmm.
But it's actually rabbit. It's really a nice design that somebody came up with for that. But anyway, we'll try to make sure we get that video so that you can.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Yeah,
in
that'd be cool to
that.
see.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. I know it's hard for you to get away now too, Adam. So.
I should be able to make it, I think.
Oh,
My
good.
class should be over on the 27th, all that should be done. And
Ah, cool.
so,
Oh, great. Good.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
what time does it start?
10.
10? Okay, at the Colchester Green?
Yep. And the demonstration won't be until around noon.
Okay.
Be a couple of the opening and a couple of workshops before
Yep.
that happens. So.
Yeah, I'm planning on making an appearance, so
Oh, good. Good. I'll look forward to that.
yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know that I have anything to add at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I feel like I should, but you guys have got a lot on your plate, and
Right. We have a lot. Yeah. Like our lives are
Yeah.
busy and we're both trying to practice.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, right, there's more stuff to practice and we have time to address, so.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, hang in there and don't let your work overwhelm you.
Thank you. I won't.
Either one.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And
Good
thank
seeing
you
you
for
guys.
trying to figure out the Google problem, the Gmail problem.
I will keep going. There's something I've got to double check again what the rejection message actually said, because I discovered that there are apparently different issues.
Oh.
There's not even just one. So
Right, right.
Well, good luck.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
See you guys soon.
Have a good week.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.